and by that, somehow joins the ages. And yesterday, Michael joined the ages. Farewell, my friend. Love, Wendell.
Wendell, thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Wendell Pierce, who played Detective Bunk Moreland on The Wire, remembering his fellow castmate and dear friend, Michael K. Williams.
Thank you, really, thank you. Thank you for honoring him.
And Here and Now is a production of NPR and WBUR in association. I'm Tanya Mosley.
I'm Robin Young. This is Here and Now.
Funding for Here and Now comes from WBUR Boston and Mathnasium, committed to boosting students' confidence, critical thinking, and math grades and scores with in-person or online instruction. Each student follows a customized learning plan. More at mathnasium.com.
Remember that? The sound of old school email in the morning. I'm Elsa Chang, and communication sure has changed. And if there's one thing our spam folders have taught us, it is that not everything is legit or worth our time. That is why, for 50 years running, NPR sticks to the stuff you can trust and enjoy. 50 Forward with NPR.
That's All Things Considered, weekdays beginning at 4 on Radio IQ.
Support for Radio IQ comes from Red Rooster Coffee in Floyd, Virginia. Doors now open for shopping and takeout service. Outdoor seating available. 823 East Main Street beside the post office. And J.F. Brown Real Estate, providing market knowledge and consultation to buyers and sellers in the Shenandoah Valley, mountains, Lexington, and beyond. jfbrownrealestate.com.
Radio IQ is broadcasting in digital on WVTF Roanoke, WRIQ Charles City Richmond, WURV Richmond, WVTU Charlottesville, WVTW Charlottesville, WVTR Marion, WISC FM Wise, WQIQ Spotsylvania, WIQR Lexington, WEHC Emory, WLUR Lexington, and in Richmond on 92.5 and Fredericksburg on 94.9. Radio IQ, a service of Virginia Tech.
Funding for Here and Now comes from MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink software, accelerating the pace of engineering and science. Learn more at mathworks.com.
From NPR and WBUR Boston, I'm Robin Young.
And I'm Tanya Mosley. This is Here and Now. Coming up, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says it's not true. Americans are not stuck on charter flights out of Afghanistan.
We are not aware of anyone being held on an aircraft or any hostage-like situation in Mazar-e-Sharif.
Also, the new film Worth tells the story of Kenneth Feinberg, who administered funds to families who lost loved ones on 9/11.
You think about them every day. The number of stories we heard about people who were in the World Trade Center for the first time that morning, and they died there.
And we check in on Nigeria, where natural disasters have become a way of life. A look at the climate crisis there, coming up Here and Now.
The news is first.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. President Biden is touring parts of New Jersey and New York today that suffered catastrophic flooding by the remnants of Hurricane Ida. The storms killed dozens of people in both states. Speaking alongside New Jersey's governor in Manville, Biden said climate change will only make extreme weather more common.
Every part of the country is getting hit by extreme weather. And we're now living in real time what the country's going to look like. And if we don't do something, we can't turn it back very much, but we can prevent
The 2 p.m. session of Roanoke City Council for September the 7th, 2021 is hereby called to order, and I will ask our clerk, Ms. Susan McCoy, to please call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Here. Mr. Bestfitch.
Here.
Mr. Cobb.
Here.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Here.
Ms. Moon Reynolds. Here. Ms. Sanchez Jones. Here. And Mayor Lee.
Here. And a quorum is present. The invocation was scheduled to be delivered this afternoon by Reverend Kevin McNeil, pastor of Bethany Christian Church, but he is not here, and I'm assuming he wasn't expecting to be on Zoom for this meeting. So we're going to just move forward, and I will pinch hit for him today. And following that, I will also lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you please stand? Bow your heads, please. Eternal God, our Father, we come to you this afternoon, first and foremost to say thank you. Thank you because we recognize that it was you who gave us this day. And Lord, we say thank you because it's not because of anything we've done or deserved, but it's because of your grace and your mercy that we stand here. And as we prepare to go into this council session, guide and direct us as elected and appointed officials, that we do the service of this city. And Lord, we want to send a special prayer to those in Louisiana, Florida, and Mississippi that were affected by the hurricane last week, and also in New York and New Jersey and the northern states. Those who are left homeless, those who are grieving, we ask you to bring them comfort as only you can. And Lord, we ask you to bless those even in our area, in our community, who are struggling with situations. And as we stand on the verge of a pandemic, I hope you would continue to guide and direct us and guide those citizens and give us the courage and the strength to do what is right in your sight. We thank you and we praise you. It is in your high and holy name that we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I welcome everybody to our, this is our first session. We had briefings this morning, but this is our 2 o'clock session, regular session of Roanoke City Council. Today's council meeting will be televised live and replayed on RVTV Channel 3 on Thursday, September the 9th at 7 o'clock p.m. and Saturday, September the 11th at 4 o'clock p.m. and video stream through Facebook Live at facebook.com/RoanokeVA. Council meetings are offered with closed captioning for the hearing impaired. Announcements for the City of Roanoke. The Council of the City of Roanoke is seeking applications for the following current vacancies and or upcoming expirations of terms of office. The Architectural Review Board, there are 2 vacancies. Personnel and Employment Practices Commission, there's 1 vacancy. The Roanoke Civic Center Commission, 3 vacancies. The Roanoke Cultural Endowment Board of Directors, 1 vacancy. The Roanoke Neighborhood Advocates, 1 vacancy. The Towing Advisory Board, 1 vacancy, and that will be a citizen at large. I would encourage you to please access the city's homepage to complete an online application for any of the vacancies that I just mentioned. And we, as a council, encourage you to participate, to apply. We need your work and support as we try to govern the city, and we want citizens to become a part of boards and commissions as we govern our city. And it's easy to do. Just contact that clerk's office, and they will guide you through the process of filling out the application. All right, we're down to item number 2, which is the presentation and acknowledgements. And I have a proclamation today declaring September 13th through the 20th of 2021 as National Disability Voter Registration Week. And I'm going to call on Karen Carney, the Blue Ridge Behavioral Health, to join me at the podium. Karen.
I'm fine. How are you?
I got a proclamation I want to read now.
Okay.
Then I'll let you have some words.
All right, thank you.
All right. The City of Roanoke Proclamation, National Disabilities Voter Registration Week. Whereas people with disabilities and their allies recently celebrated the 31st anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, whereas there are over 61 million adults with disabilities living in the United States and over 1.6 million disabled adults living in Virginia, whereas the disability community has a vested interest in policies enacted at local, state, and national levels that affect the integration of people with disabilities, young and old, into our communities. Whereas getting the disability community involved in influencing public policies is essential if these policies are to meet the real needs of people with disabilities to live, work, learn, and play in the community. Whereas voting is a guaranteed way for the disability community to exert their influence and demonstrate their political power in local, state, and national elections. Whereas there are efforts around the country to develop state disability voting coalitions similar to Rev Up, Virginia, working on increasing the political participation of disabled Americans. And whereas register, educate, vote, use your power is a national effort to encourage state and local disability community voting coalitions to increase the political power of disabled Americans. Now, therefore, I, Sherman P. Lee, Senior Mayor of the City of Roanoke, Virginia, acknowledge the growing national involvement of the disability community in the political process and the statewide efforts of Rev Up, Virginia, to increase the political power and influence of disabled Virginia voters and designate the September 13th through 20th, 2021 as National Disability Voter Registration Week. And I'm pleased to recognize Ms. Carney to be here to say a few words. And I want to present this proclamation to you. And thank you for being with us. Come on to the podium.
The disability community has experience in a number of areas, including housing, healthcare, social services, employment, and criminal justice efforts, which are often prioritized in elections. Disabled people, however, are rarely seen as a resource to positively influence policy in these areas. The diversity of the disability community and the potential increase of people experiencing chronic illness due to COVID-19 make disabled people a vital yet overlooked voting bloc. The lack of accessibility at polling places and in the ways that people vote have not stopped disabled people from being politically active. People with disabilities have been fiercely political throughout U.S. history. From the Depression-era League of the Physically Handicapped, which fought for the right to work, to the Capitol crawl, and from the 504 sit-ins to the actual die-ins to save the Affordable Care Act, disabled people have long used their voices and their bodies to make political change. With 1 in 4 people in the city of Roanoke having a disability, we hope that elected officials look at this population to help determine what a future Roanoke looks like, including bringing disabled people into conversations about how a post-COVID-19 society should function. As traditional advocacy issues for many people with disabilities are now being discussed more broadly because it's impacting more individuals, disabled people have the knowledge of how many of these systems both succeed and fail people. Voting is one more way that people with disabilities can use their experiences to help influence the policy decisions made within their community, and their experiences are sorely needed. We appreciate the City of Roanoke recognizing the importance of National Disabled Voter Registration Week by presenting us with this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Carney. Come on. All right, we're now down to item number 3, which is a hearing of citizens upon public matters. City Council sets this time aside as a priority for citizens to be heard. Now, if deemed appropriate, all matters will be referred to the city manager for response, recommendation, or report to city council. And as I suspected, I have a whole group of things on my desk right here on the dais. So I'm gonna ask our clerk, please call the speaker that has signed up.
We have one speaker signed up, and that is Ken McLeod. And I don't believe he's here.
All right, Mr. McLeod?
Yes.
All right, doesn't look like he's here.
No.
All right, going once, going twice. He's not here, we'll move on. All right. We'll now move down to item number 4, which is a consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the members of City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items. If discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I need a motion for approval of the consent agenda. Move the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Aye. Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. And the consent agenda has been approved. Thank you. All right, we move now to our regular agenda, which is item number 5, which is public hearings. We have none. Item number 6 is petitions and communications. We have none. And item number 7 is reports of city officers and comments of the city manager. I Item number A is I'm going to call on the city manager to introduce our briefing, which is the public art update. Scott.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you all, I believe, will recall that each year we have our folks with the Arts Commission come and present to you a very brief overview of the previous year's accomplishments, and then perhaps even more importantly, laying out where they intend to focus their energy on over the course of the next year through the public art work plan. And so that is what Doug is here to share with you as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
It wouldn't be on unless you've loaded it up there today. So.
All right. Well, it's art, so I've got pictures. I've got to show you pictures.
Yeah, you got to have that.
Yeah. And it might just be black and white, so my apologies for that.
And everyone should have, I think, the copyright of the presentation.
Okay, terrific. Well, Mayor Lee, Vice Mayor White Boyd, members of council, thank you very much for taking the time to hear our report today and to hear our recommendations for the spending for the next fiscal year for the public art program. I represent the 15 volunteer commission members of the Roanoke Arts Commission, and they're hardworking, and they very much appreciate your support for public art in Roanoke. And they've been busy. So before I give you the recommendations for this year, I would like to catch you up on what we've been working on. First off, if you've been on the art walk recently, you'll have seen that there's new sculpture on the art walk. We put a call out to artists to reimagine Roanoke, or think about the theme, reimagining Roanoke, with the idea of a city is constantly changing. And what does it mean to be part of a city, to contribute to a city, to help make it what it is? We had 56 responses, and of those 56, we worked with 9 artists to put art around the city. And half of those artists were women artists. We had 5 pieces that were produced specifically for this show, which we're really excited about. And we had 5 artists who were from within a 2-hour radius, which is something that's very important to us as well. So we like to have a mix of art from around the country, but also supporting local entrepreneur artists as they're increasing their business and doing their work. Those pieces are on the art walk, but you'll also find one on the campus of Hollins University, and you'll find one on the Greenway next to the new bridge at the Salem-Roanoke border. Additionally, this year, the Arts Commission's Collection Committee had a goal of purchasing art, two-dimensional art, for our collection, which you find in city buildings. Specifically, they wanted to focus on art by artists of color and diverse backgrounds. And we're really pleased with some of the opportunities we had this year to purchase art. There was a show, we worked with Ryan Bell and the Harrison Museum to do, there was a show called Black Fatherhood. And we purchased some art from that exhibit. One piece is you'll find in the Gainsborough Library, and it's by Lynchburg artist Robert Penix. And it's called Father Figure. And it's a portrait of President Obama and Congressman John Lewis. And it's in the newly refurbished Gainsborough Library in the Virginia Y. Lee room, and it's perfect in that spot. So we invite you and the public to visit that new art. Additionally, we purchased 3 pieces from local artist Bryce Cobbs that was in that work. And those are gifts of protection, understanding, and wisdom. And 2 of those are digital art, and 1 is an oil painting. Those will be on display just outside the council chambers beginning Friday in a show called Welcome to Roanoke, Images of a Compassionate, Diverse, and Welcoming City. Finally, there are pieces that we've arranged to purchase from a show that's currently happening at Hollins University. Now, that show is by Yolanda Livingston, who's a local artist, and those are images that were taken, they're photographs. It feels like photojournalism. They're of local Roanoke entrepreneurs and workers, and the show is called Workers, and it's terrific. If you get a chance, that show is going to be up through September 19th, and it's on the campus of Hollins University. Now, we've purchased 4 of those pieces, or are purchasing 4 of those pieces. And while they're not available, they won't be available this week, we will, when they come down, we'll add them to the hallway out here, so you'll get a chance to see those. We're really excited about what's going to happen in the hallway and being able to show more art on a rotating basis. Additionally, this year, if you remember back last year, we said we wanted to pilot something, and that was a public-private partnership to try to put more art more frequently, kind of catalyze it, make it happen faster in public spaces. Since the city doesn't have, say, park space on every corner or places where we can do art, there are often blank walls that are privately owned. That if we can get art on that wall, it might be an early way to energize a neighborhood or help a neighborhood organization take on a project. And there are often property owners who are very willing to do that. With this public-private partnership, we said, okay, let's try to have a 3-way partnership where we can have a neighborhood association or a business association partner, the property owner, and the city. And we have our first mural up. It's just been completed, and it's on Campbell Avenue. And if you're on Campbell Avenue and you look at Hustle Haven down that parking lot, there's a new mural on the building at 210 4th Street. And that's by Josh Nolan, and we did a license with the property owner, and we've worked everything through, and we think there's great potential for this strategy. It was a $3,000 investment on the city's part, but we think there's great potential for this strategy to continue. Additionally, in 2020 and 2021, we did the We Are Art Rap Cipher and did a contest with the elementary students, not a contest rather, but a gallery exhibit online with elementary students. So we had about 90 elementary students illustrate that We Are Art theme from the Rap Cipher. We worked on the Clean Streets Jingle competition, and we had some really fun jingles written to encourage people not to throw their cigarette butts or their litter out on Roanoke streets. And we did the Color Your Corner signal boxes competition, the first round, in partnership with transportation. Now, we did the first one this year, so there are 5 signal boxes out there. I bet you've seen them around town. And there are going to be 5 more muralized signal boxes soon. Last year's theme was Every Corner is a Crosswalk. This year's theme is No Need to Speed. And so artists can submit their ideas, and it's still open until the end of September. So we're looking for some great designs. And that's for all ages, all experience levels. And then we have a few things that we haven't finished yet from this year. One is the E branch in South Roanoke. We're working with Chris Jones, who's the elementary school teacher at Crystal Springs Elementary. He's the art teacher. And he's working with images from young people in that school that we're going to make a mural to go around that E branch. And then additionally, like I said, we had 1 mural done this year, but we set aside $10,000 last year. We're going to carry over $7,000 to keep working on projects like that with the community. So that's what we've done. This year we have a $20,000 infusion from the Percent for Art program. Now the Percent for Art program, again, is 1% of most capital projects goes into a separate fund that's dedicated for public art. So every year we don't quite know what we're going to get until everything plays out. And according to the formula, this year we get $20,000. So with that $20,000, we recommend doing a number of things. One is there was an NEA grant that you've already approved for $10,000, and we're going to use $10,000 to match that grant. So that's going to be in Southeast Roanoke to do kind of hidden histories and celebrate hidden histories of that neighborhood along the Greenway. And we're going to work with Roanoke College, who's going to work, some of their students are going to work with the neighborhood and do a little exploration and some digging. And then we'll put a call out to artists and say, hey, what are the stories we want to tell about Southeast? So that's one project, and that's $10,000. The next is the Art in Place Fund, which is the public-private partnership. And we'd like to take $7,000 and add to the $7,000 we already have. So that would be $14,000 that we'll kind of have set aside as property owners say, hey, I want to do a mural. And then we can roll up our sleeves and work with them on a project. Now, I misspoke a little bit because I said, let's do a mural. Those don't have to be murals. They could be an art fence or anything that is publicly facing on that private property. But it's got to be publicly facing. And we have a whole, maybe we have, I guess about 10 projects right now on a list where we're talking with neighborhood and business associations and property owners and trying to get those projects going. And then finally, we still have a collection goal. We want to keep adding art that's in the buildings and making sure that the art collection represents us as a community. Now, a lot of the art was bought when we had a city art show, and the best in show would be purchased by the city. That's one way to add art. Or the Arts Collections Committee can say, okay, well, we've got specific goals. And again, they want to reiterate that specific goal of collecting two-dimensional art by artists of color and diverse backgrounds. So this year, they want to have $3,000 that they can use when the opportunity arises. So in addition to, those are the three funded pieces. In addition to that, we're going to keep doing the partnership programs that we love to do. So partnering with transportation on the Color Your Corner project, partnering with the Community Development Block Grant funds on the Melrose bus shelters. Soon we'll have 4 bus shelters that are Valley Metro bus shelters, but they're going to be designed by the community in partnership with an artist. So there'll be very specific design elements that make it feel like it belongs in Melrose on the street, that it reflects the community, that it kind of ties the project together. So we're really excited about that. Additionally, the Welcome to Roanoke exhibit and the ongoing maintenance responsibilities. So finally, on budget-wise, we have $80,000 right now in the account. We've got $10,000 that we're carrying forward, so that takes it down to 70. And then we have $20,000 we want to add in. So we will, by the time we do all of this, we'll leave $50,000 in that account. And we do that intentionally. We want to have a good balance in case something happens to one of these larger pieces and we need to make a repair. So we try to be really conservative that way. So we're asking in the recommendation for you to approve $20,000 in expenditure in the next year, and that would be to match the NEA grant for the Southeast project, $7,000 for the partnership program, and then $3,000 to buy more art for the city buildings. And with that, I want to thank you for your support, ask if you have any questions, and then ask for your approval for that recommendation.
All right, is there any comment, Councilman Bestridge?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Jackson, for another great report. Certainly have seen a lot of new things popping up in the city over the last few years. I want to personally thank you as the treasurer of Roanoke Valley Sister Cities Incorporated for the assistance you provided in getting the Sister City sculptures cleaned down on Century Plaza, as you mentioned earlier. To be honest with you, even though I'm in that area quite often and make it a point to go by, I didn't realize how dirty they were. until they got cleaned up, and they really do look great. As you know, we're always hoping that we're going to get some artist exchanges or artist visits from some of our sister cities. Mr. Cobb went to Lijiang and made connection with artists there. We have connections with artists in Opole, Poland. It looks like we may have somebody from Florianopolis, Brazil, that may be interested. So I hope that part of that $50,000 might help with some of the expenses of bringing those artists to do things, which I think would really be great for the city. Of course, with this ongoing pandemic situation, we don't know when we may be able to do some of those things, but hopefully at some point we can get some of those things going. The art walk, it just continues to amaze me as new pieces are added and the theme changes. Really looks great, and I also really like the work down at Liz Belcher Plaza on the Greenway. That's just so imaginative and really ties so many things together with the ability to use bicycles on the Greenway as well as the railroad history with the little star on the top made out of railroad spikes. I just think that's wonderful. But I really like the pieces that we've kept on the art walk, and I wonder if we keep one or two pieces every time we have a new exhibit there, then pretty soon we're going to run out of spaces there. So I just wondered if there are other places. I mean, you mentioned that there may not be a lot of other places, but certainly there are some other places around the city where either some of the pieces we have there or new pieces that we decide we want to retain could be placed in different spots around the city. I just think that would be really great to just sort of enliven some of our neighborhoods and some of our thoroughfares as people drive around through the city. So thank you for the good work you're doing, and I hope we can continue to see progress over the next couple of years like we have the last. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm pleased to recognize a member of council who is on that art.
Well, I was on the Arts Commission. Had to give that up to come do this. But you all do amazing work, and I would, when you were saying how much you do with really a very small amount of money is extraordinary. And of course, I would advocate for triple, quadruple, however much you need. We know that art contributes to the health and well-being of our city, and I think for many people, art has saved their lives. And so when we can reflect in our buildings, in our public sculptures, on walls, all the places that people gather and live and work and play, these artistic expressions that reveal both the complexity and the beauty of our city, it's a testament to what we do well and all of the creativity that exists not only here but throughout our region. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the partnerships that you work so hard to build. I think those relationships are really critical because they involve so many different people in the process of not only creating the art, but finding ways to communicate the story of the art. And I hope that as we get, particularly the new artworks that you showed us, if there are ways that we can not only show the pieces outwardly in as many ways as we can, but tell the stories behind them and tell the stories of the artists. I mean, that just builds our historical narrative through art. The last thing I want to do is thank you for the Art Commission's partnership with our Safer Neighborhoods Working Group with the Gun Violence Prevention Commission. We've been working on a public art project that in collaboration with Roanoke City Public Schools ROTEC program to help do the build. And we're hoping that will be completed hopefully by the end of the year to be able to launch sometime in 2022, but a way for residents throughout the city through a mobile art chalkboard, essentially, to talk about what safety means to them, what a healthy neighborhood means to them, and how they reimagine being safe, and having those kinds of critical conversations in the voices of our youth and our adults and the people who call Roanoke home to help us not only imagine that, but become that is really important. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, and I do want to point, you're right, those partnerships are critical, and we can't do anything by ourselves, and these partnerships are not only help us do a whole lot more, but they're super rewarding as well. And there is not a whole lot of money, and we make it go as far as we can, but we're also very busy writing grants as well. We've written, I think, 5 grants this year, and I hope to come back to you, in the next year with some acceptances and asking you to accept those grants to do even more of this kind of work.
Thank you. Any other council have any comments? All right. Well, Madam Clerk, I'm going to call for a voice vote on all council members that concur in the request that has been received this afternoon by Mr. Jackson. All those in favor, let me know by saying of aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Jackson.
you.
Thank you.
All right, we're now moving down to items that are recommended for action. Item number 1 is the acceptance of a fiscal year 2022 Virginia Department of Fire Program grant funds. There are 2 measures, and first is a resolution. I need a motion for that.
Move the resolution.
Second. All right, Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
A resolution authorizing the acceptance of the Virginia Department of Fire Programs FY22 funds and authorizing the execution and filing of appropriate documents to obtain such funds.
All right. Is there any discussion or comment by members of the council? I'm pleased to see our fire chief and staff that are here today with us. So if there are no discussions, or is there anything that you want to say, Chief, down there? All right. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Aye. Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds. Aye. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. And the resolution passes. Thank you. There's a budget ordinance.
Move the budget ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance appropriating funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Fire Programs, amending and reordaining certain sections of the 2021-2022 grant fund appropriations, and dispensing with the second reading by title of this ordinance.
All right, any discussion by members of council? All right, hearing none, I'll ask clerk to call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Aye. Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds. Aye. Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. And the budget ordinance passes. Thank you. All right, Chief, thank you all for the good job you do in the fire department and emergency rescue. Thank you all both. All right, item number 2 is the acceptance of funds from the Surface Transportation Block Grant to be used for the Greenway connection along Riverland Road project. There's a resolution.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
A resolution authorizing the acceptance of the Virginia Department of Transportation STBG funds and authorizing the execution and filing of appropriate documents to obtain such funds.
All right, is there any discussion by members of council? Well, hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Aye. Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds. Aye. Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the resolution passes. There's a budget ordinance.
Move the budget ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance to appropriate funding from the Virginia Department of Transportation funds to the Greenway Connection Riverland Project, amending and reordaining certain sections of the 2021 through 2022 Capital Projects Fund appropriations.
All right, is there any discussion by members of council? All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Aye. Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the budget ordinance passes. Item number 3 is the acceptance of the 2021 Eviction Prevention Boost Planning Grant to be used by the Financial Empowerment Center in connection with eviction prevention in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a resolution.
Move the resolution.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, can you read the title paragraph?
A resolution authorizing the acceptance of the 2021 Cities for Financial Empowerment Eviction Prevention Boost Planning Grant and authorizing the execution and filing of appropriate documents to obtain such funds.
All right, let me ask Mr. Cowell if he would explain that.
Sure, and I'm actually going to ask Brandon McGinley to come up. Brandon is the coordinator of the Financial Empowerment Center for us, and he can give you some further insight as to what this continued, really, partnership with our partners in New York that have been helping with us. So, Brandon.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lee, Vice Mayor White Boyd, council members. I am Brandon McGinley, Financial Stability Specialist with the city's Economic Development Department, and nice to see you all, and thank you. So this particular grant is to plan a FEC, Roanoke Financial Empowerment Center, integration into current rental assistance programs that are municipally led through TAP and through central intake. And so as you know, a year ago, the city launched its Roanoke Financial Empowerment Center to provide no-cost one-on-one financial counseling to Roanoke area residents in partnership with Freedom First Enterprises. And we celebrated our one-year anniversary roughly a month ago. This grant opportunity was offered to up to 5 cities across the country that have operational financial empowerment centers. And we were one of 5 selected to plan a way by which we could really integrate financial counseling into rental assistance programs that are currently in place. And so we've been working really closely with Central Intake and with TAP to look at their current rental assistance programming and see about ways by which we can incorporate financial counseling into that process. But this is very much still a planning grant opportunity and not yet implementation. So that's a brief overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can you explain that so that the listener or the viewers we have understand that? Because you use some terms and they're saying, well, does that mean I can go there and get help for my, I'm about to be evicted, or what can I do? Can you just sort of break that down a little bit more so our viewers can really understand what's happening?
Yeah, absolutely, Mayor Lee. I would say currently viewers who are at risk of eviction should contact TAP, Central Intake, because they are the programs that currently are administering, to my knowledge, the rental assistance that is available in our community. This is an effort to look at financial counseling and what financial and whether that can, over the course of time and in close partnership with TAP and Central Intake, help those folks who are at risk of eviction with things like debt reduction, improving their credit, establishing an emergency savings plan over the course of time, establishing a banking or credit union relationship if they do not have one, and helping to connect them with other programs in the community. So right now it's very much still in the planning phase. The Roanoke Financial Empowerment Center in general is open, and folks can go to roanokefec.org to schedule a no-cost financial counseling appointment at any time. This specific effort is a planning effort to look at this, I would say, targeted population, at those who are contacting our community partners about rental assistance, and eventually find a way by which we can make really smart, sophisticated referrals into the Financial Empowerment Center. Hopefully that was a little bit more clear.
It was. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've always wanted to make sure, and thank you for the work you've done,
thank you.
being here, to make sure our citizens understand that, because I know, as well as I'm sitting here, that there's some citizens that need that guidance, that need that service, and sometimes that's a problem I have when people say you're not doing nothing for us, or you're not doing that. This is something that Roanoke is doing that only 5 other cities in the country are doing this to a degree. So, and I think that's what we have to do, is educate our public on what's sitting out here. You know, I see people just like swimming, and there's a life jacket over there. All you got to do is grab it. They don't even know, well, where do I go to get the life jacket? And it's right really in the back of the boat. So that's why I want you to say that, because people can understand. Because I see people in the community and talk about things, and I said, how about the Empowerment Center? How about going and letting somebody talk to you about getting our debt, how to deal with those issues? It's not it's personal, it's not, I mean, it's confidential, but that's the thing that frustrates me the most as mayor, is that people don't know what's available to them. And these are some things that they can take advantage of. And I'm hoping as we go forward, we'll do that. I know with the city manager and his staff, I was in on all the meetings that led up to us getting in this position. So thank you for sharing that, and I'm hoping people will adhere to that. Mr. Jeffrey.
First of all, thank you for celebrating your 1-year anniversary.
Thank you.
I think it's a great program. Question, what are some of the outreach methods you're doing to, like Mary Lee has mentioned about getting the word out? What other methods are you using to let them know about the program and the qualities that you have in the program?
Well, thank you, Councilman Jeffrey. So in the course of the last year, we've done some more broad advertising and outreach through the Roanoke Times, for example. We ran a series of ads, I believe, back in the spring. We promote the program through our social media, so Roanoke Financial Empowerment Center on Facebook and Twitter. I believe this month, hopefully you all should be able to see bus advertisements that will have the Roanoke Financial Empowerment Center right there on the back of, I think, 6 buses during the month of September. We've also advertised in the Roanoke Tribune. Importantly, we also have more than 15, I would say maybe around 20 close community partners that provide referrals. And a big part of getting folks through the door to financial counseling is having these in-depth partnerships, similar to what I mentioned during this planning effort, with partnerships across the city. And so from the original planning for the Financial Empowerment Center as a whole, the city has been really good about establishing and now maintaining partnerships from places that will refer folks into the Financial Empowerment Center. And so those are our 2 main ways by which we try to get folks through the door. And of course, we have a website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? It's best pitch.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, thank you for filling us in a little bit more on this one. Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund is a national organization. Do you know how many cities are involved with them, at least in rough numbers?
Yeah, I believe it's 23 that have financial empowerment centers. They also do fund other programs as well as financial empowerment centers, but off the top of my head, I believe it's 20 to 25 operational financial empowerment centers.
So out of those, there was an opportunity for 5 to get one of these planning grants, and Roanoke was one of the 5 that was successful in applying for the grant funds. At the end of the planning process, I assume that all 5 will be reporting back to the national organization on this. Will there be an effort then to sort of, for them, I don't know, maybe synthesize everything and develop what they think are the best ideas, and then put that out to the other cities around to, so that's a plan, not just for Roanoke, but it's a plan that can be disseminated to other cities as well.
Yes, I would imagine that we would be sharing those outcomes with our partner for cities in this effort. We are currently meeting with them occasionally, and we recently had a meeting with the CFE Fund and the other 4 cities to essentially for all of us to provide progress updates as to where we were. The main deliverable of this planning grant for this effort in particular is an 8 to 10 page concept paper.
Right.
And so all the cities will have that as well. And as we look at what implementation of this looks like, I'm sure we'll be learning from the other cities that are working on this same effort. Yes.
Well, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but can you tell us what the other 4 cities are?
Sure. They are Tulsa, Oklahoma, Sacramento, California, Lansing, Michigan, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Put Roanoke in some pretty good company, I would say.
Yeah, it's been great to work with them.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, not, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Aye. Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the resolution passes. We have a budget ordinance.
Move the budget ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance to appropriate funding from the Financial Empowerment Fund Amendment for eviction prevention of low and moderate income individuals, amending and reordaining certain sections of the 2021-2022 General Fund and Grant Fund appropriations, and dispensing with the second reading by title of this ordinance.
All right, is there any discussion from members of council? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd.
Aye.
Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the budget ordinance passes. Thank you. Item number 4 is an amendment of the city code to update and clarify the fire prevention and protection ordinance. There's one ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance amending and reordaining Section 12 through 19, amendments, Article 2, Fire Prevention Code, Chapter 12, Fire Prevention and Protection, Code of the City of Roanoke, 1979, as amended, to conform the numbering of various sections to the 2018 statewide Fire Prevention Code, providing for an effective date and dispensing with the second reading by title of this ordinance.
All right, any discussion by members of council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd.
Aye.
Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the ordinance passes. Thank you. All right, we're now down to comments and by our city manager, and I'm pleased to recognize Mr. Cowell.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Few announcements, and I want to make an introduction following these announcements. So obviously, the city offices were closed yesterday, and of course, as is the case in such instances, that affects our solid waste collection schedule. And for those that are on the trash, bulk, brush, and B-week single-stream recycling will be delayed, obviously, one day throughout the week. Also want to announce, or this has been announced, but remind folks that we are currently soliciting nominations for the annual Neighborhood Awards. Just as a reminder, this program recognizes and honors outstanding contributions, excellence, and accomplishments achieved by neighborhood organizations and civic individuals. There are a number of categories associated with those awards, and the deadline to nominate someone is Friday, November 5th. And nominations may be submitted online at roanoke.gov at the Neighborhood Awards subpage. You may also contact Josh Johnson in our office with the neighborhoods to help through that discussion. Also in the neighborhoods, or with neighborhoods, is the training that we're offering. So this fall, the city will offer a training entitled Taking Your Organization to the Next Level. This is a free course led by program consultant Steve Hickson, and it's designed to help neighborhood associations learn leadership development and other skills. This training is facilitated by the city's HUD Community Resources Division, as well as the Office of Neighborhood Services. And there'll be 6 virtual classes held over 3 months. The deadline to register is approaching quickly. That's this Friday, September 10th. And again, more information can be found about that on the city's homepage, or you can call into the Community Development Office or into our Neighborhood Services Office as well. And as we have noted previously, the city will be celebrating Welcoming Week, the week of starting on Friday, on September 10th. This will be the 4th annual Welcoming Week that the city has held along with its other local partners. As you heard Doug Jackson mention, the theme today, and as you've seen signs around the community, is Belonging Begins With Us. There will be a number of events held starting on September 10th at 11:30 right here in the council chambers, where we'll actually have the kickoff event and actually debut the art that Doug was discussing that will be taking place in the hallway. There are other events, including a 5K run, as well as a scavenger hunt, vendor fair, international soccer cup, world tour of food, and other events. You can find out the full list of events, times, and locations by visiting roanoke.gov at the Welcoming Roanoke subpage as well. So certainly encourage folks to take a look at that and join in on the week-long's worth of festivities. With those announcements, I want to now introduce, some of you have met her, but I want to introduce a new person in our organization. I want to introduce Lauren Waldron, back in the back. She's our new Community Engagement Manager. And Lauren is joining us actually from the D.C. area. However, she is a local Roanoker, having grown up here, and is returning back home to work with us in the community. And Lauren's been here all of 1 week. And so it was a long week. So there were, I think, 3 evening meetings. So her first day was 13 hours. So we thought that was an appropriate introduction into the organization. So we're very happy to have Lauren here in our office as well. And certainly she'll be making many appearances at different events as well. So welcome, Lauren.
Lauren, we're pleased to have you. Welcome. And we look forward to working with you. You go forward. Okay. Thank you.
And that concludes my briefing. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 8 is reports of committees. We have none. Unfinished business, none. Item number 10 is introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolution. And we have a resolution designating a voting delegate and an alternative voting delegate for the annual Virginia Municipal League Urban Section on Sunday, October the 3rd, 2021 in Leesburg, Virginia, the site of, again, of our Municipal League meeting this year. All right, then there's a resolution.
Move the resolution.
Second.
I'll ask the clerk to read the title paragraph.
A resolution designating a voting delegate and alternate voting delegate for the annual business session and meetings of the urban section of the Virginia Municipal League.
All right, at what point do we name who they are? Or is that? I don't have that. I'm not getting some of these things that's on the dice.
I think it's on your desk. I will read that, Mayor, if you'd like. The Honorable Joseph Cobb is hereby designated voting delegate, and the Honorable Stephanie Moon Reynolds is hereby designated alternate voting delegate.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I want to publicly do now.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Madam Clerk, can you call roll on this?
Yes. Vice Mayor White-Boyd? Aye. Mr. Bestfitch?
Aye.
Mr. Cobb?
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
Ms. Sanchez Jones?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the resolution passes. And we thank Councilman Cobb and Ms. Moon Reynolds for their volunteering to serve in that capacity. I was thinking about these sessions, these positions. I know in the formerly we served them in the National Civic League, which we'll do later on this session, or not this session, but this year we'll do later on. But I remember even at Virginia Municipal League, the delegates, and maybe they met the national, waited, had to be there, the last people on the day to make sure that everything voted. And it was like it was a punishment, more so than everybody leaving out the door. And the delegates got to sit there and wait to vote. I remember those days, because I got stuck in doing it a couple of times. And good thing you're not flying or going anywhere, but thank you all for your willingness to serve in those capacities for us. All right, we're now down to motions and miscellaneous business. Any inquiries or comments from City Council? Let me recognize an individual who works with us that I think is going to do a tremendous job, and he's been working in this area for years now, well, at least a few years that we've been talking about opiate addiction and where we are and the money that comes with it, and he's done yeoman work, and he serves us in a capacity that we really appreciate. And he's the attorney. Mr. Tim Spencer was appointed by the governor to serve on the Opiate Abatement Authority Board. And as I looked on the number of people who are serving in this capacity, they're from all across the state, from Norfolk, Chesterfield, Midlothian, which is Richmond, Fairfax, and so I'm just pleased and honored that that the governor has chosen to pour Roanoke into this fray to make some decision, and I'm especially pleased that Tim Spencer, our city attorney, is going to be there and be the voice for us here in Roanoke. So Tim, congratulations, thank you, and we'll wait for you to bring the bacon back home.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I want to thank council for their support. Could not have been appointed unless I had support of this council. And many of you have gone out of your way to contact people that you've known in Richmond to make this occur, and I thank you.
Well, thank you, Tim, and please keep us, I know you will keep us advised as to the things that are happening, because that's seems to be a hot topic in our community. And as we talk about, as we talked about it at our last meeting in terms of the deaths by overdose and opiate drugs and those kinds of things. So thank you for your willingness to serve. Ms. Spencer, should we go into make that motion now or go down the
If we could put that as item C under 11, we'll do that as item C, motion to go into closed session.
Okay. Vacancies on certain authority boards, commissions, and committee appointed by council. We will do that later, or
You can do that now.
all right. Well, we'll do that, and Mr. Bestpitch has that. Vacancies on certain authority boards, commissions, and committees appointed by council, appointments and reappointments. And I will call on Councilman Bill Bestpitch to place the names in nomination, if he would.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. On the Architectural Review Board for a 4-year term, the nominee is Byron Dixon, and to fill an unexpired term ending October 1, 2023, the nominee is Stephen Feather. On the Personnel and Employment Practices Commission for a 3-year term, the nominee is Julia Wagner. For the Roanoke Civic Center Commission, two nominees for 3-year terms, and they are Kiana Price Marshall and Rob Arrington. And for the Roanoke Neighborhood Advocates, for an unexpired term, Margaret Ashburn is the nominee.
Thank you. All right, you've heard the names. If you're in favor of those names, I'd ask you to vote by the saying of all nominees when the roll is called. And I will now ask our clerk to call the roll.
Vice Mayor White Boyd. Nominees. Mr. Bestfitch.
All nominees.
Mr. Cobb.
All nominees.
Mr. Jeffrey.
All nominees.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
All nominees.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
All nominees.
And Mayor Lee.
All nominees. All right, thank you. I'm going to ask you to key that. We've got a special call meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
I move that this meeting of the City Council for the City of Roanoke, Virginia be recessed and that the council immediately reconvene in closed meeting to consult with legal counsel pertaining to actual or probable litigation regarding specific legal matters requiring legal advice and a discussion of strategy of negotiation of a potential agreement involving the city as permitted by subsection A 7 and 13 of section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended. Need a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Trish White Boyd.
Aye.
And Mr. Bestfitch.
Aye.
Mr. Cobb.
Aye.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds. Aye. Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. Thank you. Council will be in recess for a closed meeting.
That's important. The Minister of Interior controls the police, controls the internal forces within the country, and that's going to be a lot of the Taliban's focus. Their military effort is going to go in that direction, probably more than trying to build an army or something like that to defend from the outside.
So still, we're in kind of a bit of a quandary as to what the answer is to the question, is this the old Taliban or the new Taliban? We often hear that a more